When I was in IIT, in fact, I personally thought कि बस यहीं रहना है जिंदगी भर. 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, we will go get some aloo prantha from IIT gate. We don't remember any class, anything, optimization, digital electronics classes and all that. What we remember is motorcycle पे चलो, 50 पराठे लाने, कौन किस किस को खाने रात में.
11 बजे के बाद करना क्या है? 11 से 4 तक तो we used to have meetings. Then I started playing poker. It does teach you a lot about interpersonal skills, especially when you are playing with money. My perceptions about myself could be that I am a great operations guy, but there is a world beyond me, and if I venture outside, then I might be better at those things, which will eventually help me.
HR as a career is not glamorous enough because it's not paid well. Is that true?
Yeah, the N-1, everyone is nearly similarly paid, whether it is HR, it is marketing, it is anyone else. Before I go anywhere, I just wanted to give one message that relax. Relax in life. You guys having made it thus far, I'm told you guys already have offers or are on the wait list and all that, which means you will do well. Unless you do extremely stupid thing and tell yourself, I don't want to do well in life, you will do very well in life. And maybe mix of multiple factors. India is destined, as we said, whether we want it or not, to do extremely well with demographic dividend and all of those things which are happening. And in that, it's like Bombay ki train, right? You just get into the crowd and you are swept up inside the compartment. So वैसा ही होने वाला है life में. Is you guys will be swept up. You may be thinking बाद में कि चलो ठीक है life में 10 million बनाऊंगा $, या 20 million, 30 million, doesn't matter, right? So that is where you all will land up. So first is relax, and while it may seem uncertain, but some things are certain. So that's number one. Shall I say a bit about myself?
Sure.
So look, high level, 30 seconds. So from IIT Delhi, 1991, I joined Procter & Gamble at that time. 5 years there, had a great time. And then certain things, and so I've always been driven by my personal interest and what has excited me at that point in time. And then it so happened that I moved into HR, so went to Excel. And 25 years with Unilever, and then now, with Sun since last 5 months.
Thank you very much, Suresh. You can keep sitting and giving them answers as well. But I like the enthusiasm. Are you young at heart?
I think I am young even otherwise also, but unless you classify me as old. But guys, I will till my death, I'll never feel old. So either, so that's, I think that's who I am.
That's exactly what I wanted. And what about you?
I have a typical profile which almost everyone in this room would have. So I've done my engineering from NIT Allahabad, mechanical engineer. Then I thought that it's not good enough. Let me have one more degree. So I went to IIM Bangalore, did my MBA, graduated in 2011. And then from IIM Bangalore, I went to Aditya Birla Group. So they have this leadership program. So I was part of that program for 3.5 years. And for the last close to 10 years, I've been with Sun. So at Sun, I've done multiple things. Right now, I am heading distribution and logistics for India operations. So that's more about me.
How much of your IIM days do you remember, Siraj? Or is this like a very new memory to you that you cherish?
No, I do remember my IIM days. It's been, 13 odd years for me. But most importantly, what you remember from your college. In fact, I remember my undergrad days as well. The kind of relationships, the friendships that you would have developed. All of you would have done your undergrad. So those 4 years are the formative years for you. You will never forget them. You will always cherish them. In terms of what I cherish the most, I cherish the camaraderie which I had with my course mates at Bangalore. I could interact with people who were coming from different backgrounds, different age bracket. When you are 21, 22, a 2 or 3 year gap also seems like a huge gap, right? So different age brackets, different work experience. So I cherish those times. And obviously, I went to Bangalore.
Superb. And what do you remember, Suresh? You see these faces, again, young faces. While you were at their seat, I'm not saying you are old. But when you were there in their shoes, what were you thinking? What were the kind of thoughts that were coming in your mind? And you decided that you wanted to get into XLRI Jamshedpur, right? Was that the only choice that you had, or you had other choices as well lined up for you?
So look, when I was in IIT, in fact, I personally thought कि बस यहीं रहना है जिंदगी भर. So I used to love campus so much, I never wanted to get out of the campus. And then the reality dawned after 4 years कि यार निकलना है यहाँ से. And I was just talking to a friend of mine, he's in Indian Forest Services अभी, Arunachal Pradesh में. And, we were just saying कि यार वो those nights, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, we will go get some aloo prantha from IIT gate. We don't remember any class, anything, optimization, digital electronics classes and all that. What we remember is, yeah, motorcycle पे चलो, 50 पराठे लाने, कौन किस को खाने रात में. So we remembered those. So we said कि life तो यही है, बस यहाँ से कभी है. Then after 4 years, there was a rude awakening that निकलना भी होता है यहाँ से. अभी तो यार हम campus में नहीं हैं. And so that was what IIT life was, and we never thought कि यार आगे क्या है ये वो करके. Look, at that time there were also not too many jobs. सबको ये था कि abroad जाना है या थोड़े बहुत कोई job है तो कुछ कर लो यहाँ या IAS की preparation कर लो, right? So that was the high level thing over there. Did not think much of it. वो PNG का I was too lazy to think कि यार IAS का prep करना है. So वो PNG का आया, I just went. वही वो था, I just went there. So they gave some वो flight का ticket. मैं बोला यार 3,000 रुपये दे दिए. And Dad was in army, we never had money. So 3,000 हो गया. We went by train, we saved half of the money and half of the money we pocketed. So look, that was a simple life at that time. Excel thing, how it happened is, now I started liking engineering only when I started working in PNG. That is when I was in projects and we landed up doing some Excel. Then I realized, first time when I went, वो रात में technician called me at 11 in the night कि सर ये मोटर बंद हो गई है. So I went, मैं देखा है मोटर ये चालू कैसे करते हैं. Now IT में you had cut out models. So you knew कि और उसमें color coded था that this is red वो है and lab assistant will tell you आप दूसरा wire यहाँ लगाइए. वहाँ now suddenly they expect you to know. I did not know anything about motor. I thought I might short circuit the bloody motor. So anyway, so that is how gradually you learn. And then, but the thing is, if you have the learning thing, then you start enjoying. And I really enjoyed, and PNG me did a lot of things. And towards the end, I was getting quite interested with the concept on creating high performance work systems. So which I quite enjoyed. So I said, yeah. So I used to be, but curiosity element had always been high. It is even now it is very high. So that is what I started thinking. This interaction of people and technology and all that. So I got quite interested in that one. So I took exam, XLRI and tests. So that is there, and Excel thing happened, and I just.
आपकी स्टोरी सुन के मुझे वो 3 Idiots का क्वेश्चन याद आ गया. How induction motor starts, and the answer for it.
True.
I just hope that you didn't give that answer because you were an engineer yourself as well. But XLRI में तो पराठे नहीं मिले होंगे. तो
नहीं वो थे वहाँ एक्सेल में. एनीवेज दोज हु आर थिंकिंग कि नहीं मिलेंगे, वहाँ बहुत अच्छे वो मैगी मिलता था. वो बिशु की कैंटीन होती थी, बिशुदा. So that will go at 11 to 1 in the night. So that is when 12 बजे तो शाम होती है, right, in colleges. So that is where we used to have Maggie replaced the paratha. So yeah, that is very true.
Any interesting story that you have of IIM Bangalore beyond academics that makes a campus life?
IIM Bangalore, I was part of this placement committee. So the placement committee then takes care of all the placements which happen for the students on the campus, right? I became part of it 6 or 7 months into my MBA. One interesting thing which started happening was that we would have our meetings starting at 11 o'clock in the night. उसके बाद सुबह 4 बजे तक our meetings will go. And it happened straight for 8 months. After 8 months, when my term got over and new people got elected, then all of a sudden I had a lot of time in the night. 11 बजे के बाद करना क्या है? 11 से 4 तक तो we used to have meetings. Then I started playing poker because we had a lot of time to kill. And this is something which other batchmates of mine were anyways doing. So those 4 or 5 hours, I learned a great deal about poker. And that is something which I continue to enjoy now also. But obviously the frequency would have gone down. I don't play from 11 to 4 for sure. I have a day job. But yeah.
Does that teach you trading also?
It does. So poker is very interesting. So more than trading, it teaches you a lot teaches you a lot about interpersonal skills. And I'm putting it in a very sophisticated manner, but yeah, it does teach you a lot about interpersonal skills, especially when you're playing with money.
Right. That's one thing you're learning about poker. But when you learn that, what do you want to study? So, for example, there are a lot of things that you can get. Finance mein paisa hai, marketing mein glamour hai, I don't know, other things, operations mein kya hai, I don't, probably you can tell. Okay, so how do you decide then that, this is something that I want to do? Not like following the herd, but mujhe ye karna hai because I'm genuinely interested and I see a career 10 years down the line.
So see, to me, choice of a career or identifying what you want to do in your life is an ever-evolving process. It's an iterative process. So when you, for instance, I'll take a personal example. So when I was doing my MBA, I was good with numbers. So I thought that I'm good at maths, so finance or accounting will come naturally to me. But I did not like accounting. I scored well, but I did not like it. What did I like when I was in my B school? I enjoyed operations courses, supply chain courses. I enjoyed strategy courses. Those courses I enjoyed. So I thought कि ठीक है काम करते हैं. When I get a role, I will try to do strategy there. But then you land up a role after MBA. And then you realize that there's nothing like strategy. Strategy is a way of telling people that these are the things that you need to do so that company reaches from point A to point B. But then someone will have to do those work, right? Those jobs. So then I realized that my skill sets or the way my interpersonal skills help me or allow me to be a better professional in, let's say, an operations, supply chain, or finance kind of a role. So that is something which I thought that I will do. Then I landed up in a generalist profile in Sun Pharma, where I was part of MD's office, working closely with the MD and the promoter, and looking at functions ranging from procurement to supply chain to finance to HR. So that gave me a good flavor. Now, 10 years down the line in Sun, my feel is that I am good at operations, I know supply chain, but that's not the be and end of it all. I want to understand more about, let's say, how marketing would operate, how would a business development in a pharma company would look like. So it's an iterative process. The moment you feel or the day you feel that, okay, I've learned everything, is the day when you should take a pause and try to look around and see what are the other opportunities that you have with you. And what MBA did for me was, it made me realize that there's world beyond what my perceptions are. My perceptions about myself could be that I am a great operations guy, but there is a world beyond me, and if I venture outside, then I might be better at those things, which will eventually help me.
Suresh, I want to bring you in here, because we have this generalist versus specialist kind of a debate that happened. And when you are sure that you want to become an HR, and that's why you probably go to a particular B school, how much of a clarity do you need at that point in time? Or is it possible for someone who is probably now seeing that they are interested in HR, but later on they want to change their career path? Is that possible for them, or is that feasible for them to do?
As Siraj rightly said, is even my own experience is that it is an evolving thing. You may like certain thing and then after some time say, yaar, maybe let me change my trajectory here and all that. So like that. Now, generally now what is happening is that in economies where you have, like India and all that now, there are so many options. So for example, if you join a relatively smaller company, there you'll see everybody tends to do almost everything. And if you join a large company, then things are, because functional depth and expertise does require you to spend certain time and all that. So that is there. So I would say that it is a good mix of this. Now, even in HR also, if you see, and I've seen a lot of HR people also going into business. The thing is, beyond a point, you become a leader. You don't remain a functional expert. And that is where, and beyond a point, what you need in any situation is leadership. So that is where my thing is. But look, you always start off with a certain thing because you have to establish credibility. Life is all about being T-shaped. So you start off with some credibility, build credibility, expertise and that all, and then try to see where life takes you. So as Siraj mentioned, is he could be in ops and then maybe he wants to go into finance. Now, no function has all roles which are too deep expertise. Some are generalist in nature. So it will evolve. So that is there. And there are interesting things both ways. Like my son, you know, he is in your stage. So he has done com science. मैं बोलता हूँ यार एक MBA कर लो तो तुम्हें एटलीस्ट एक ओवरव्यू हो जाएगा. बोलता नहीं MBA क्यों करूँगा, मैं बुक से पढ़ लेता हूँ मैं. तो US में that craze of MBA is actually going down. Globally, in my thing in Unilever where I used to see is there were 3 countries which were crazy about MBA. India was number 1. Then US is another one, and then Thailand. तो वो ये 3 है. बाकी सब में MBA का ऐसा कोई craze. If you go to Philippines, you go to Europe and all that, it's not that people are dying to get into MBA. There's almost really no one. वहाँ पे वो इंडियन ही पहुँचते हैं जो वहाँ MBA करते हैं. So yeah, so that is where it is.
And just to stretch that point a little, why do you think that we are dying to do an MBA?
Look, so there is certain thing about national culture. So national culture इंडिया में है कि पढ़ाई मास्टर्स तो करना ही करना है. बैचलर है तो your education is not incomplete, right? Similarly, Thailand also, if you are an elite, there is a certain elite there, वो masters होना ही होना है. US में तो culture ही है कि वो MBA and this, and they have with all advertising and all that which is there. So I would say, look, you have to always be pragmatic in life. So if you are in UK and that all, I will not really advise you. But if you are building your career in India or starting off from here, then be pragmatic and do the thing. So sometimes do what the crowd is doing and sometimes be different from the crowd. So that is what I feel is be pragmatic always in life.
Suresh, let me take you back to the first stint that you had with Unilever. आप quality walls के नासिक plant में थे, if I'm not wrong. That was the first kind of posting that you had. Yeah. Anything interesting that comes up from that time? Because your first assignment is always a special one, right? Do you remember it for some reason, or do you think that you can reflect on that to tell them that probably this is what your first job is going to look like, no matter how big a company is?
The first job में सारा challenge क्या होता है? How do you apply the principles which you have learned in real life? And then when you apply, you initially try to figure out does it work? So somehow engineering is a little more exact science. So if you put current to it, something will happen. या तो short circuit हो जाएगा या motor चलेगी. So like that. So but in HR, the good thing is that there is much of MBA fields are mix of art and science. Right? So sales mein it is immediate. You do something, you see immediate results. So it is, science is high. But lot of marketing, HR and all that becomes, and strategy and all that becomes a mix of art and science, because you have to combine, it's a huge multivariate equation, jahan you have to optimize the thing. So HR is one of those extreme on the ambiguous multivariate equation. So that is where you had to learn. So I learned my cut your teeth wala jo funda hota hai. That that you do this, then whether it happens, you train people on behaviors, how do you establish behaviors, and then you realize that in any system to optimize, you need your behaviors and how you approach a thing, and all those things are bigger things to that make a difference versus your skill which you have, because in any large system it is the full team or the organization which makes a difference. No individual can alone make all the difference that is there. So that was my learning over there. And then also learning that, look, your skills will only take you thus far, but your other behaviors of how do you, liaise with the government, how do you go out, do community work outside, and all those things, they become, and increasingly in life, they will become more dominant part of your role. So your skill and your function will become hygiene. That is expected that you have to do well. But beyond that, your leadership, that is what we call leadership, is your ability to look at all the factors, be able to combine, influence them, and make them move in a certain direction. So that is what I feel. So
it's interesting that we spoke about the very first role that comes after college. But 2-3 years down the line, I'm talking about when you were done with your Aditya Birla stint, and then you joined Sun Pharma, and then you were reporting directly to the MD's office, right? And that's a lot of responsibility in itself that can make you a little nervous or jittery about things. He's very senior, he has authority, I might do something wrong that might reflect me in a bad light. How do you deal with these things when you are 2-3 years down the line in the system, when you know the things, how it works, but you're not sure about them completely?
So that's a very valid question. So what happens is that, and this is true for all of us, So when we start interacting with someone, or let's say when our reporting changes to someone who's like very senior, CEO, or let's say promoter of the company, at a very young age, you always have this desire to prove yourself, right? You always feel that you are, whatever action that you are taking, someone is judging you and you will have to prove them wrong, that their expectation, prove them wrong about their expectation of you. But believe me, when you're working at such a young age for these people, they don't expect you to do any todfod. That you come and you solve a business problem, you do a $1 billion acquisition, you take the company from place A to place 100x. That's not the expectation at all. So first, and the most important thing is to understand the expectation, understand what your inherent strengths are. So in this specific case, what happens is that, let's say when I joined MD office, expectations were very clear and very mundane to begin with. Get the dashboards right, for instance. So the dashboards are something which would have been used ever since that company have been in existence. The value that you, or let's say someone like me, would bring to the table is to create a dashboard in a way that makes the MD more effective, right? These small things, these small activities as a project, when you take up, you grow as a professional, because then you have the full perspective of the organization. And then when the organization looks at you, and any organization, it's not only true for Sun Pharma, when the organization looks at you, they identify a future talent, and if there is an opportunity that comes for a bigger role of which you don't have any experience, the organization might be willing to take a bet on you. Why? Because you did those small things right. So in these roles, in these reporting structures, it's very easy to get awed by the size of the stature of the person, the intellectual capability of the person. But don't get awed. What you need to realize is that you have reached there because of a reason. So if you're reporting to someone, it has not happened by accident. It has happened by design. So you have basics in place. It's okay to not know. But what is not okay as you progress in your career is not to have the desire to know. People around you, the information ecosystem around you will always enable you to know whatever you want to know. For instance, let's say about pharma. When I joined Sun, because I did not know a lot about pharma, anything about pharma, I would reach out to senior people here in operations, in R&D. I'll talk to scientists. I'll try to understand what they are doing, why they are doing. I would maybe grab 5% or 10% of the initial conversations, but that was still better than zero, the position where I was coming from, right? So it took me a while. It was a steep learning curve. Now for someone like you, in the current information era, information overdose era, if I may say, information is already there. So if you want to understand more about an organization, the information is there. If you want to understand more about, let's say, the kind of business which the organization is in, all that information is there. To begin with, you might not need to know what a specific drug does beyond, let's say, a paracetamol. But you don't need to know that. That is something which can be trained when you join an organization. That is an on-the-job training. But this desire to know, this inherent motivation to learn every day is something that can't be taught.
Suresh, I'm going to come back to you. It's often said that HR as a career is not glamorous enough because it's not paid well. Is that true? And if it is yes or no, I want to understand from both perspectives. And probably you are the best person to ask this because you've spent 25 long years at a company like HUL. And also, if you grow being an HR, what is the growth path like for individuals?
Sure. Probabilistically, if you are in a finance or a marketing and that all, in any company there is one CEO or a general manager, right? And that one person, there is higher probability that it will be one of the salesperson or a marketing person or a finance person. So there is a truth and a fact that one person will become. But the minute you look at n-1, the n-1, everyone is nearly similarly paid, whether it is HR, it is marketing, it is anyone else. So that is where, actually in some places, you will find HR is paid much higher than the CIO and even marketing and that all. Actually, if you ask me, one of the functions globally, which is one of the highest attrition function is HR. Because the good thing in HR is there are very few people who are there who are good. So in HR, so if you are in marketing, you will have hundreds of people competing with you. So after 50 years also, you have to be really, now here the people are fewer, but I'm not saying that should be the basis. Basis should be your passion. But, and look, after much, and if you like a thing, you will rise to the top. My hypothesis is if you are passionate, whether you have talent or not, you will figure out and you will rise to the top. Now, if you rise to the top, as I said, it doesn't matter. Does it matter that you made 10 million, somebody's made 12 million? It's not going to be 10 and 30 is not going to be there. Only CEO or a business founder are the two people. Now, founder does not, it's linked. If a 12th grade pass people from, say, some of the entrepreneurial communities like Gujaratis and Marwadis can do so well, then you with all of your education can definitely do well. So, right? So that is number one. So I would say, so my sense is, in the classical job structure type of thing, CHROs are paid nearly as much as plus minus, little bit here and there, and lot of places they are paid lot more. And if you want, you can look at Dr. Santrup Mishra's salary, which he had declared. So a lot of CEOs in their lifetime in India, after 10 lifetimes, will also not get there. So anyway, so that is my sense is there, but it's a field you just need. So I would not say it will make too much of difference beyond a point. Beyond a point, everybody is paid nearly in the similar bracket. Actually, if you look at India at the very top level and maybe 2-3 levels below from there, it is already equivalent to European salaries. So I was in Europe before coming back here finally. And I already see it equivalent to, look, there might be some odd thing in a very large company where one person might be paid more. But if you look at broad median salaries, Indian salaries are already touching and it's growing at 10%, where their salaries are growing at 2%. So in 6-7 years, I'll not be surprised at a middle level. In fact, we have a European guy on our board. He's been remarking, these are more than European salaries. So look, so that is where it is. So I would not say that, don't worry too much about it. You will get there, it will happen. It's a matter of time.
Super. Thank you very much for being honest on that. Suresh, I also want to know what a global CHRO brings to the table. So right now you're a global CHRO at Sun Pharma. What essentially does your day look like, and how do you bring in numbers to the organization?
As I said, that I would not say even global CHRO. Always look at it as a microcosm of wherever you are. If you are starting off, you will be part of a team, maybe a sales team or a marketing team or a factory team or whatever, and you are solving a problem. Now that problem will have many facets. So this, look, HR is like soap. In R&D, I used to, that is where we used to. If you look at soap has got, surfactants, it has got, things which will bind itself, it has got certain things which will be in actives, all of those things. Now, do you say that it is a physicist who works more on a soap making, or is it a nanotechnologist who works more? No. It is a team. Soap has to clean your clothes or body. It has to bind itself. It should not leave traces. You have certain criterion, and then you require 6-7 different type of scientists to come together who will make the soap. Similarly, the problems like these is, all business problems require different type of expertise to solve. So, for example, if we are getting into, to give you a sense from generics, we want to get into innovative drugs. I'll take a real example. Innovative drugs requires a different mindset. It requires a lot of clinical development before. Generics is where you replicate a similar functionality and you do it and people get it, and it is. Now, in that space, you have to do a lot of fundamental research, stage 1, 2, 3, and all of that. Now, we don't have that capability today. So what will happen? What will HR do? HR will then look at that which are the best place to get this capability. So we will look at people, which are the leading edge players in this field. We will go and we'll get people from there. So that is what HR will do, is we will have something, so different assignments for different people. Marketers will say, what should be our value proposition? If there are already 10 people there, why should anybody buy Sun Pharma? Right? Sales people will say that, how do you sell? Is it you go to a hospital, look, Europe, everything is government. India, everything is, private practice or some government. It's a mix of different. Sales will solve that problem. HR will solve that who is going to do this for you, work for you. Clinical research, you need somebody who has in their brains how to do clinical research. So you go, you find clinical research, who are the best people over there, then teams under them. Okay, this means you need 100 people team, so 100 FTE. So full-time equivalent of people with this. So biostatistics, you need 5, you need 3 pharmacovigilance, you need 5 physicists, like that. So that is how you constitute. Just like in software, if you make a program, you need 5 Java specialists, 2 people, who program Python, like that. Similarly, here you need the skill sets and you combine the team. If it comes to CEO succession, look, one of the big things in HR, which I say, talent before strategy. Who makes strategy? It is some human being which makes strategy, right? So HR's biggest job is to get those human beings, ensure that either you develop those human beings who can make amazing strategies where you will win, or if you cannot build, then buy, or borrow, or bounce. If you have somebody holding the thing and you don't know, and that guy is just holding and doesn't have capability, you move the person somewhere else and get someone else. So this judgment of doing this. And look, in any field, you have read that book called Blink, Malcolm Gladwell. So what he says is, he gives a story of a specialist who in 10 seconds, if the guy looks at a couple, can say whether they are headed for a divorce or they will not divorce, right? Because you develop that capability over a period of time. Similarly, in HR, you develop that capability over a time, that when you look at a person, you can broadly get a sense whether the person will fit the thing what you want. It's not that there's something wrong with the person or this thing, it's only you're looking at whether this person is the right person for this type of capability. So that is how HR comes in. Yep.
Definitely show your faces to Suresh once he's done with this session. Too many S's again. I want to understand from you, what is happening in the pharma space right now in India? What are the trends that are coming up, especially after COVID? We have seen a spike or boost. You must have seen that in your business as well. So right now, standing at 2024, what are some of the trends that can excite the people who are sitting here?
Data plays a very big play that is happening in Indian pharma as we speak. Whenever we used to talk about data play in pharma, that was generally limited to clinical trials and so on and so forth. Now in supply chain, in marketing, the amount of data which we have available and the amount of analytics firepower which is there in the market, both these combined have a potential to change the way we operate in Indian market.